Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Plain Mundane Show, as I used to call it, meaning flat world. Plain meaning level, and mundane meaning worldly. It's a secret term for flat Earth if you call it plain mundane. If you look at my old videos, I had the Plain Mundane Show. This is Alex Aquarius. Now I'm calling it Stories and Prayer. I actually don't think I put stories and prayer in the title on this evening's video. I forgot, but I will correct that in editing after we are done. But we will still have prayer. In fact, why don't we open with a prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, bless us as we discuss this crew that is shown to the world to be in a vessel that is flying through space under thy feet, pretending to approach thy firmament and to be beyond the moon. And they are feigning, with a G in the middle, as in faking, the fact that they are in space, Heavenly Father. And we can tell, there are tells, and I'm going to show, we're going to talk about things to look for. When you watch a video of crews aboard the space station or aboard this vessel, anytime you're watching, you watch and just watch surrounding. They're getting better at it. It used to be easier, Heavenly Father, but they are getting better. They're trying to hide where you are and the true shape of thy creation. And that way, when we pass from this world and we want to return to thee, we won't even know to just go straight up. Go straight up through the planets and through the stars and the waters above, and there is thy throne. But everything is changed with what we are being taught here on earth by the Cabal of Lucifer. So tonight we're just going to talk about this crew and some of the mistakes they made, and we hope that you would help us. Amen. All right, let's dig in. Okay, you know what I did today, folks? I spent, during my afternoon free time, I made notes. And I want you to look at these notes really quick that I made. I'm going to show you. Let me switch the screen here. If you can see, well, I guess you can't see my notes. Do you see that? Is that on the screen? Let's go to, well, I would have to change a setting to go back there. I'm not going to show you the notes. I'm just going to go through it. But if you looked at the thumbnail, you saw these red musical notes. As a synonym, we're making notes of all of the mistakes. And if you look on that thumbnail, I put a note over each mistake that I noticed. I could be mistaken, but I watched this video. I spent on this 30-minute video, 35-minute video, I spent about 3 hours watching it, rewinding it, and watching it, rewind it. And if I didn't see anything, I would rewind it and watch it again. Just like a music producer or a video or a music or a movie director. Let's do it again. I just would keep going back and I would keep searching for what is moving, or what is a tell, or what can I find that would give it away. So we're going to look at a few of them here. I'm sorry, I'm looking through some evidence. Is everybody good? Are we, how do I cancel that? Let me close the chat here for a second and reopen it. Well, I guess I can't do that in the middle. Where's cancel? Hold on. Chat, I don't want to sign into chat. I guess I have to now because I started a screen. 2459225. That's my phone number. Let's see if I go to next. It's verifying that it's me. I know. Okay. Complete sign in. Verifying that it's you. All right. What I found, there are things, if you look in this picture that I noticed a hand movement that they use as a signal to one another. I noticed a cable that the woman hit with her hand that bounced. And as if there were gravity, it bounced up and down and then settled down. I noticed the man on the far left lying on top of what these are. These are like life preserver jackets in this cargo net that are oxygen suits that they will put on if there are any problems. And so he's lying on the top of this bundle of oxygen suits. But at certain points, you can see him going up and down. Yes, it's me. You can see him going up and down, and then when he moves, you see his waist belt. He bounces. I call it caterpillaring. It looks like he's moving like a caterpillar. And it's pretty funny. You want another verification. Good. You have to enter a password, then verify it's you, and then for me to get into Google Chat. Good grief. Now I have to get a verification on my Gmail. Hold on. If you only knew what it took to make all these videos for you guys, it's like, I'm getting used to it, though I'm getting pretty good at doing it quickly. I can put it together. I just started on this about 20 minutes ago, and I'm making them, and I've got a new software that I use to make the thumbnails, and I'm getting fast. So I'm getting better. If you look at my first episode, this is episode, oops, I forgot to put the episode number. This is 24. Welcome back. Okay, I'll open the chat, dummy. Look at all your devices, and I don't want to look at devices. Go to chat. Okay, I'm sorry I'm delaying you here, folks. Just get a security checkup. You have inactive devices. Review the devices you haven't used in a while and remove old ones. Android inactive. Review devices where you're signed in. Safe browsing. Third party. Continue to YouTube. Finding. Oh, and now it's. Good grief. Don't you hate it when programs are so dominant? Oh, now I have to sign into chat again because I just closed it. Okay, you guys are in the comments. I can see you. I'm not going to be in there. Not going to waste time. Okay, let's get into it. Let me show you what zero gravity is. Have you ever seen the people that go on zero gravity planes? Here's what it looks like. If I'm on the split screen, hold on. Here's what it looks like. We're going to go in.
This plane is about to send me into zero gravity.
Oh, hold on. You know what? You're not hearing me. You're not hearing that. I have to click these headphones. It's a little trick. Okay, let's see if that did it.
Gravity is a lie.
Yeah.
While I go without it for the very first time.
Gravity.
Gravity ain't real.
Say we don't actually need gravity.
Why is there gravity? Why does it work?
Turns out that gravity is one of the most controversial subjects in all of
How's the volume?
This
Is it
is
too
not some
loud?
philosophical debate.
Too soft? You can hear
Huge
me,
amount
right?
of the tech that you use every day.
Is my
all
volume too
depends on
loud?
our
Maybe you
current
can turn it down. I would rather have
understanding
you
of
turn it down than me turn
If
it
we
down
can
and you not
understand
be able to
this
hear
a little
me.
bit better,
You don't
we
need
can know more things
echo,
that are huge if true.
and you don't need more
What
gain.
is gravity? In this
Okay.
video, we're going deep to learn how it truly works
All right.
together.
And we're going to do this in 4 levels. starting.
Inside of these
now.
airplanes, let's go to a short. This is the short. Okay, watch this. Brief demonstration.
Free falling. The whole flight is split up into 3 phases. First, the plane pitches up to 50 degrees, speeding up steeply for 20 seconds along this path. And during this part, you feel squished to the ground, hypergravity, until the plane
This
reaches
crew is
this
inside of an
exact
airplane
point.
with that
Then
whole set,
it
that 3-wall
dramatically
set
slows
is
down and
inside of
basically
a
throws you. And as you're
like an
falling
A320
along this
airplane.
arc, the plane is carefully keeping itself perfectly around you, and you feel weightless. It lasts for 22 seconds, and when the plane
22
hits this downward
seconds.
angle of 42 degrees exactly,
Keep
it
that in
radiates
mind.
the
It
engine
lasts for
speed back
22
up and
seconds,
catch you,
and then
and
they
you
do it
feel
over
squished
again.
down. This plane does this 31 times. If you want to see what happens inside,
31
I'm
times.
in a
Remember
zero
that.
gravity plane. It looks like I'm floating, but I'm actually
Okay. I'm eating some grapes. If you like the ASMR of eating. Oh, I have my noise reducer on. Here, let me turn that off. Okay, watch. You like ASMR of eating? Okay, I'll stop doing that if you don't. All right. That's how it works. So when the plane goes up, you're glued to the floor in that plane and you're heavy, geez, you're pulling up and your body is thrust into the floor. And then when you start to approach the apex at the very top, you don't have to be at the top, but when you even start to make it, you're going straight up in a line at a, what was it, a 50-degree angle? Anytime when you decrease that angle to even, let's say 49, you even decrease by 1 degree, you're going to start floating. So they begin to float before they even reach the apex. So the full period that you can fall is 22 seconds, but I think they get a little bit of free time on the tails, on the front and the back, because before the apex, they start getting a little bit lighter. So like you'll see the guy moving around on top of the nets where the jackets are. And he looks like he's moving. It looks like there's gravity, but it looks like he's moving himself easily. Another thing I'm going to show you is where they synchronize their watches. Everything is rehearsed like a play. This is like Broadway. They've rehearsed. They know how many seconds they can speak. I've noticed a hand signal that they use that seems to mean time to buckle down. They're in the heavy G phase where the plane is going back down, and then it pulls. They pull the stick back and fly level, and then they pull back again and start flying up again. This plane goes like that, like the big roller coaster hill, 31 times. Normally, if you go on a 0G flight, but I think during this interview, that was about 35 minutes of video time on this NASA demonstration. And you're going to see them doing different things as they're waiting for the news channel to get ready. Another thing to notice that you should know is there's a 4-second delay. When these people are speaking with the astronauts, they have a 4-second delay. So when like I would be speaking to them and I would say, "How are you today?" And they would just sit there and they wouldn't do anything. And 4 seconds later, they suddenly go, "Oh, hey, I'm good. Thank you." Hey, so they have to pretend to be very still and very silent. And I caught the commander who forgot to count to 4. It's so embarrassing. I laughed out loud. So funny. And it's the first thing we're going to see. Let me show you that right now. Watch. At the very first, the woman who's narrating from Houston, she's like, "Artemis 2 crew, are you ready for the event? Thumbs up if you're ready for the event." And he turns immediately to the camera and gives a thumbs up. And he was supposed to wait 4 seconds because when you hear Houston talking, they're on the ground. But this is imaginary. We don't know if it would take 4 seconds. And I think they're about 30,000 miles out. I know the numbers. I've reviewed these things and I've looked at a lot of stuff with the ISS and the space shuttle. So I'm used to doing these kind of videos, to looking at the equipment inside of the craft. You can look at hoses move. We're going to look at the flags. There's Velcro behind the flags that comes off and it sticks back down. Let me just point out real quick. The line, the cable that these flags are hanging on is sagging. Okay, that's just one thing. All of this equipment here is just billowing downward from gravity. It's not just sitting there in space like it just chose to be that shape. This cable right here, you're gonna see the woman astronaut hit it with her hand. Her watch hits it, and it bounces up and down, and then it rests down. Its last motion is a resting downward motion. That's a tell. Victor here, he's the pilot of the craft. We're gonna watch his watch. There's a moment when his watch slipped on his wrist. He made every one of us do it. You know how your watch will creep forward on you if you have your hands down below, toward the floor, and your watch will creep up on the back of your hand over your wrist bones, and you raise your hand and kind of give your wrist a little whip, and your watch will slide back into position on your wrist. He did it. I don't even think he noticed he did it, but he was rubbing his right eye, and when he let go of his right eye, he did that flick of his wrist, and his watch slipped back down into position. There's gravity, I'm telling you. The astronaut that you're going to see on the left on top of these bags here, he's laying down in the space. This is the commander who gives the thumbs up. Watch this.
3 minutes out from an on-time start, and we have adjusted the fan speed. We'll take a thumbs up if you're happy with it. Copy, thumbs up.
Now watch, then they do it again. See, he screwed up. That is so funny. That is so funny. Right off the bat, the very first thing, he forgot to count to 4. There's a part I saw they had to do interviews with several news channels, and I've watched a bunch of different interviews. They're all different, but they would do an interview, and then they would have a break for like 20 minutes, and then they would do another interview, and then they would have a break. They've been just doing interviews all day. But it's so funny. Let's see that again. Watch. Remember, there's a 4-second delay when she speaks before they're supposed to react.
And there on your screen, you're currently seeing a live look inside the cabin of the Orion spacecraft.
Integrity Houston, we are 3 minutes out from an on-time start, and we have adjusted the fan speed. We'll take a thumbs up if you're happy with it. Copy, thumbs up.
Oh, it's so funny. It's like the other two, Victor and her, I forgot her name. They're not paying attention at all. And he suddenly just looks at the camera with a big smile and gives a thumbs up in real time without the delay. Okay, that was the first giveaway, okay? If you ever think these debunkers, like I'm doing right now, could not do a good job, that was excellent. I mean, thank you. He did so well. That was funny. And he's so into it. And then the other two, they're looking at him. And Jeremy's behind the camera. And then you see his thumbs come out 4 seconds later, and they all do it again. But the way he did it first was not supposed to be that way. He forgot to wait. Oops. Watch.
And there on your screen, you're currently seeing a live look inside the cabin of the Orion spacecraft.
Integrity Houston, we are...
If you'll notice, when they start to talk from Houston, Victor, the pilot here, he's a good actor because he actually, when she starts talking, he actually backs up and turns around and starts talking to her like he doesn't notice anything's going on. Well, they're audibly hearing that, but they just have to count. But he's not. He's kind of looking, and then suddenly,
3
boom.
minutes out from an on-time start, and we have adjusted the fan speed. We'll take a
Watch her
thumbs up
look
if
at
you're happy
him.
with it. Copy, thumbs
He
up.
covers his eyes. She's pointing her thumbs at him like, dude, 4 seconds.
Superlative
4 seconds.
thumbs up.
Now watch her hit the cable with her right wrist. Up, see where it says 250, America 250?
And there on
Synchronized
your screen,
watches.
the-
Boom. Let me ask you, Why is it so important that they synchronize their watches? I think that's another tell. They are doing things with the zero-G plane. This whole set that they're in right now is inside of the zero-G plane. So they have to time their watches because they're counting down time between the parabolic apexes so that they know how much time they have to move around and get back into position and then they do a certain hand signal. I found out just by watching. And you'll notice when they all stand around with their fingers interlocked, nobody moves. I found out so much today just by watching. It was like I was what was the woman that used to observe the apes or the orangutans in the jungle, the gorillas? It's like I'm observing the gorillas in the jungle and their behavior, and I just watched it over and over and over. And I watched their eyeballs, who's looking at who's counting, who's not, when they do the hand signs, how long they're floating. You know, they never do anything longer than 22 seconds. Remember on that zero-G commercial, they said only 22 seconds. This one.
Free falling. The whole flight is split up into 3 phases. First, the plane pitches up to 50 degrees, speeding up steeply for 20 seconds along this path. And during this part, you feel squished to the ground, hypergravity, until the plane reaches this exact point. And then it dramatically slows down and basically throws you. And as you're falling along this arc, the plane is carefully keeping itself perfectly around you, and you feel weightless. It lasts for 22 seconds. And
You
when
feel
reach
weightless, but you're
50
actually falling
degrees
to the
exactly,
earth
they
with the
re-engage
plane,
engines,
like you've
speed
been
back up and
thrown,
catch you, and you feel smushed
shot out of a
around. This
cannon.
plane does this 31 times. If you want to see what happens inside, subscribe. I'm in a zero.
Okay, let me look at my notes and see what's next. I've got the let's see, Jeremy's leg slip. Let's go to minute 27. Oh wait, first let's get the times. The thumbs up, she hits the white tube, synchronized the black watches. We saw that, right? He's making himself comfy on the aux suits at 1:06. Let's watch this. Let's go to the 1:06. Let's just play it and we'll look at when it gets to
Artemis
1:06.
crew members, CSA astronaut Jeremy Hansen just floated out of view behind the camera, but you two crew.
Let's look at her right wrist hit that tube again. Watch it bounce. Oh, we didn't watch the tube bounce. Watch. Okay, she's going to hit the tube. When her hand goes up, she's going to hit that white tube by that piece of paper.
All of the.
Boom. Okay, let's rewind that now. You know how to change your playback speed on your YouTube? Let's go to quarter speed. Okay, let's watch this.
Artemis, the.
Back up. Okay. Now watch when she hits that tube. Boink. Now look, see, it flipped up and it just settled right back down. Let's watch it again.
All of the.
You see that? I'm talking about this tube right here. This tube, it goes up and it kind of bounces and settles. You can see it. Boink, boink. See? Went up. Boom. It just sat right back down. That's gravity, folks. That's gravity in the space capsule. Okay, now let's go to... No, now when they adjust the flags, watch. This guy, he's the commander. Let's see, this guy's named Victor. I just forgot this guy's name. He's the commander. Watch, he'll take both hands and grab the flags, and there's Velcro behind the flag. They're not actually hanging, they're Velcroed, so they don't move. Watch, he pushes the Velcro back into place. Watch. Watch this hand and this hand.
Hansen just floated out of view behind the camera, but you
right there.
can still
He's smoothing out the Velcro.
Now
Okay? You got it to stick. And that 2 with gravity, it just sat right back in its place. Okay, I think these are very interesting observations so far, don't you think? This is exciting. Now watch, when this counter gets to 106,
they prepare for an upcoming public affairs downlink event, which is scheduled to take place in just a couple
106, he's making himself
minutes
comfy on the, okay.
now.
Now this guy, watch here. When he climbs in there, he's making, look, he had slight gravity, but now the gravity's starting to sink in. See how he's pushing on that now? He's supporting his weight. See now, he just rested his rib cage on that pile of suits. Okay, now watch his hips. They'll what I call caterpillar. It goes bonk, bonk. And he kind of scoots himself down. Here he goes. Right when it says comfy. Oh, the other thing I was going to show you is, let me change back to normal speed.
For the outbound and now return journey.
Okay. Now, why'd the sound cut off? What are they doing? Did I do that or are they not talking?
Now return journey.
Okay. It's them. It wasn't me. They cut off that microphone right as I moved. Okay, now let me adjust the frame so that you can see this guy climbing in there better. Let's move him all the way over to Jeremy. This guy's the Canadian. His name is Jeremy. He's a flight specialist. Now watch when he's settled. All of his weight is on this thing. You can tell. Now look, he's got his hands. See how they got their fingers interlocked?
The completion of these couple of public affairs downlink events, the crew will begin winding down for their day, and they will have the opportunity.
See how they're holding their hands up? It's like they make signals. Why do they always stand there with their hands together?
Beans, sweet and sour pork, rice pilaf, spicy green beans, citrus fruit salad, and maple.
Let me go back and rewind when Jeremy climbs in there. Okay, watch him climb in.
Shortly.
Okay. Let's watch. I can't see his feet. I thought I could see his feet when
Shortly
I watched this
after the completion of these couple of public affairs downlink events, the crew will
Have I zoomed it?
begin winding down for their day, and they will have the opportunity to eat dinner. Some of the items on their menu today for dinner include chicken with corn and black beans, sweet and sour pork, rice pilaf, spicy green beans, citrus fruit salad, and maple cream cookies.
I think the camera angle changes. There he goes, right there. That's what I was looking for. Did you see that?
Cream cookies.
He has to pull himself.
Citrus fruit salad and maple cream cookies.
Watch. He grabs the net and pulls himself. And the whole net moves with him. Watch. Yank. That took some effort. Now he's... Another tell when the astronauts are faking zero gravity is their heads are tilted upward. Look at the angle of his head. If you're on a laptop, tilt your laptop up sideways, like he's standing up, and think, why would he be standing up with his head cocked to the right? That's a natural reaction if you're hanging from anything. Your head will naturally try to right up to keep the blood from rushing into it. And that's been a tell. I've known that for a decade. I've been a flat earther for a long time. I've been analyzing ISS videos. And this looks like just the same as doing ISS video analysis. Another thing is the hairspray. Look at the hairspray in the hair, what they do. You know, why don't they have the women cut their hair off and do crew cuts? they're in the military. The government owns them. They can cut their hair. You know, if you're in a cabin, you've got all this precision equipment, you don't want long hairs floating around. You know, anyone, guys or gals that's got long hair, you know how the hairs can get on everything. If they're floating around in the cabin, that would be kind of gross. So why not have them cut their hair? But the reason why they don't have them cut their hair is because it adds to the effect so that you believe that they're in space, because with all of that hairspray and it's all teased up in a direction. But if you watch the women, have you ever seen an octopus swim in the ocean, or when they crawl around their caves on the rocks they're hiding under, and their tentacles, the way they move back and forth and they flow in the water, and the way the tails drag on each tentacle, and it just moves back and forth like this, you know? It wouldn't be, her hair wouldn't be just bouncing and then settling just like that white tube. It just boink, 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 boink. I mean, every time she moves, it just whips and boink, whip and boink, whip and boink, whip and boink. You know, if she was in zero gravity, it would be, everything would just be flowing up, flowing down, and just behind whatever she did, just like the graceful. That was graceful. It looks, I'm watching myself do that. It's very graceful. It's a graceful movement. But watch her hair. It does not do that. It's just bouncing, full of hairspray.
For the event.
You see?
Houston Integrity is ready for the event.
Administrator Isaacman, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Integrity for a voice check.
Integrity, Jared Isaacman, ComCheck.
See, they waited that time.
Administrator Isaacman, we've got you loud and clear, sir. How us?
I've got you loud and clear. Artemis 2 crew, we have a very special guest who wanted to be the first person to greet you after your return from the far side.
This was an ABC News interview, by the way. Shout out to ABC News.
It's my honor to introduce the President of the
for the
United
video
States
that I'm
of
using
America,
under common
President
use.
Donald J. Trump. Over to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Jared, and you are doing a fantastic job. And hello, very special hello to Artemis 2. Today you've made history and made all America really proud, incredibly proud. We have a lot of things to be proud of lately, but this is there's nothing like what you're doing, circling around the moon for the first time in more than a half a century and breaking the all-time record for the farthest distance from planet Earth. Humans have really never seen anything quite like what you're doing in a manned spacecraft. It's really special. I want to personally salute and congratulate Commander Reed Weissman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. And I also want to thank the entire amazing team at NASA, headed by
What were their names again?
Pilot Victor Glover,
Mission
Specialist Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. And I also want to thank the entire amazing team at NASA, headed by Jared, who's a very special guy, by the way. And
oh, wait, let's see if she timed that when he said her name.
Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen. And I also want to thank Weissman. I want to personally salute and congratulate Commander Reed Weissman, Pilot Victor Glover, Mission Specialist Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. And I also want to thank the entire amazing team at NASA, headed by Jared, who's a very special guy, by the way. And you all made this day possible, and you've really inspired.
He's still got his head cocked upward to keep the blood from rushing into his head. His face is already, look how much redder his face is than these guys.
People haven't been there in a long time, we can say, but it's going to be more and more.
Like I said, if you're looking at this on a phone or a laptop without auto rotate, just turn it up on the side and pretend that he's standing up, or turn your head sideways. Why would he have his head cocked to the right like that? You'll see that all the time on the ISS.
Also very special, but that was 50 years ago, and At long last, America is back, and America is back in many ways stronger than ever before. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. The Artemis crew flew in the most powerful rocket NASA has ever made, ever launched, traveled over 250,000 miles, broke the distance record set by the legendary Apollo 13. And America is a frontier nation, and the 4 brave astronauts of Artemis 2 are a modern day, you really are modern day pioneers, all of you. And one of them happens to be a neighbor. You know who that is, right? You have a special person over there, a neighbor, and we like our neighbor. Your mission paves the way for America's return to the lunar surface very soon. We're going all out. We're doing everything we can, and it's headed up by Jared. We'll plant our flag once again, and this time we won't just leave footprints. We'll establish a permanent presence on the moon, and we'll push on to Mars. That'll be very exciting. I'm waiting for that so much. I'd love to be here, but maybe we won't quite make it in terms of timing. But we will be up in the moon, and that's going to happen soon. So America will be second to none in space and everything else that we're doing, and we will continue to lead the whole thing into the stars, this incredible journey into the stars. So I just wanted an honor to speak to you, and I wanted to congratulate each and every one of you. And tell me, what is the most unforgettable part of this really historic day? The whole world is watching and listening.
Now watch
Please
these
tell me.
tales that they're going to tell. Oh, the rocket felt so strong, and the view out the window was awesome.
President, this call is certainly special to all of us, and we really have a lot of faith in our administrator, Jared Isaacman, who is with you. We appreciate his leadership in NASA and in the international community. We are doing great things, and we are proud to be a part of it. I have to tell you, as we came around the near side of the moon, seeing all the sights that we've seen from Earth for all of our lives, but we're seeing them from a different perspective, and then we started to get a glimpse of the and we saw sites, Oriental sites that no human has ever seen before, not even in Apollo, and that was amazing for us. And then the surprise of the day, we just came out of an eclipse where the sun, moon, and the entire dark moon, about that big, right out the window that we were watching. We could see the corona of the sun, and then we could see the...
So if you want to know where they are, according to the script, they've already passed the moon. So they're looking at the dark side of the moon when they look back toward the globe Earth. And that's what he's talking about. They've, like Trump said, they've flown farther than anyone has ever flown before. And they're beyond the moon already, which the moon, I believe, in elliptical terms, whether it's perigee or apogee, is about 240,000 miles away. So they must be about 300,000 miles away, or at least. They're beyond the moon, and when they look back, they're looking at the dark side of the moon. He just said that.
The planet train line, the window that we, and the entire dark moon, about that big, right out the moon. This is the day we just came out of an eclipse where the sun, moon, and the entire dark moon, about that big, right out the window that we were watching. We could see the corona of the sun, and then we could see the planet train line up, and we at Mars, and all of us commented how excited we are to watch this nation and this planet become a 2-planet species.
I'm going to make a comment in a second.
You know, I had a decision to make in my first term, and the decision is, what are we going to do at NASA? Are we going to have it be revived, or are we going to close it down? And I had very little hesitation, and it's really great to have somebody like Jared involved, because he really makes it much easier for me. But it was not even a question in my own mind. We've spent what we had to do, and then of course we have Space Force.
I ate a whole bunch of grapes.
Very much related to what you're doing, and that was my baby. That was a very important one, and it'll turn out to be truly one of the most important, I believe, decisions I've ever made. So we're very proud of Space Force, and we're very proud of all of you. Does anybody else have anything to say? A lot of people listening.
I don't know if it was this video or not, but one of them said he saw the entire Earth in both poles.
Mr. President, to be here with you speaking about our incredible day today. I think one of the biggest highlights was coming back from the far side of the moon and having the first glimpses of planet Earth again after being out of communication for about 45 minutes. It really just reminds you what a special place we have and how important it is for our nation to lead and not follow in exploring deep space.
Oh, I thought she was going to say.
I'd like to ask, what was your feeling when you had no communication, zero communication? All of a sudden it was cut off by, obviously, your very special location. What was your feeling when you had no communication? A little bit different, perhaps?
Yes, Mr. President, it was I said a little prayer, but then I had to keep rolling. I was actually recording scientific observations of the far side of the moon. You know, that is actually the time when we were the farthest and the closest to the moon. And so we were really able to make some of our most detailed observations of the far side of the moon up close. And so we were busy up here working really hard. And I must say, it was actually quite nice.
Did you see a difference, a big difference between the far side of the moon and the near side of the moon? Was there a difference in feel or difference in look? What did you see?
One thing I'm going to say is when they are twirling that microphone around in the air, and it's constantly weightless, longer than 22 seconds. So it's not just a zero-G plane that is the technology around this microphone, because they are able to constantly keep that thing weightless and twiddle it around and twirl it the entire time. So some kind of technology is available to them. NASA gets about $60 million a day. So they should be able to use that to come up with someone maybe from Hollywood. I think they get a lot of people from Hollywood, you know, like the ones that made that Sandra Bullock movie. And that's actually real. That, you know, a lot of the technologies they showed you in that movie was revealing what they do. You know, that's, as you know, part of the cabal's own ethics of their own, so to speak, is that they have to reveal the method. That way, when they do it, if you don't stand up and call them out, then you gave them permission. It's kind of like, I took it because you didn't say no, you didn't notice me. So if you didn't catch me, it's mine, and you authorized it by not noticing or speaking up. When I was standing right next to it, making motions like I was going to steal it, you know? Same here.
Well, Mr. President, we certainly did, and our science team really set us up well to understand what they thought we might see. And the gravitational pull of the Earth has had a profound effect on the near side of the moon, changing all those dark mares, those dark patches of the moon you see from Earth. It's very different on the far side. While you see some small patches of those mare in deep craters, it's very much absent on that side. So that's really neat. And while I have the microphone, sir,
look at all their fingers interlocked. Look at that.
The space
boom,
leadership
boom, boom.
you spoke of from America truly is extraordinary. I've said this many times before. A nation that leads like that and creates and sets big goals for humanity that brings other countries along with it is truly incredible. And I know that's a very intentional, not a necessary decision.
His head is still cocked upward. It's like he's lying on a bunk
by
bed.
Example, and to allow other countries like Canada to share our gifts and help you achieve these mutually beneficial goals, like establishing a presence on the moon and eventually going to Mars. And Canadians are so proud to be a part of this program.
Well, I have to say I spoke to a very special person, Wayne Gretzky, who I think you know, the great one. And I spoke to your Prime Minister and many other friends I have in Canada. They are so proud of you. And you have a lot of courage. I'm not sure if they'd want to do that. I'm not even sure if the great one would want to do that, to be honest with you. But You have a lot of courage doing what you're doing, a lot of bravery, and a lot of genius. But they're very, very proud of you.
3, 4, now. See? 4 seconds left. I always count. I watch this thing over. See, that microphone's still able to float continuously throughout this video. I tried to look for one moment where they had to hold it down, like maybe when the zero-G plane was bottoming out in the cycle. But I noticed it just keeps floating. So that's not proof that they're in space. That just means that they spent a lot of money on the technology to make that look like it's floating the entire time. Or it is actually floating the entire. It could have something to do with. It could have a little anti-gravity generator, like Bob Lazar talked about. It could have a little tiny one inside of it. Something. Uh-oh.
Administrator, I
Comm working?
just get a quick comm check, make sure you guys are still on the line and we didn't have a handover.
I am. Yes, I am.
And integrity, and back over to you, Mr. President.
Yeah, I think we might have gotten cut off. It is a long distance. It's a long ways. The reception's been great. There's a little bit of a
reception's great.
delay, but,
like when Nixon talked to the Apollo astronauts with a corded phone.
But I was just saying they're very proud of your brilliant person from Canada on the ship. And Wayne Gretzky is a great friend of mine, and he's
This
very
guy,
proud
Jeremy.
of him. And the Prime Minister I spoke to, they're very, very
Still cocking his head up. His face is turning red still.
courageous person from Canada. You have a lot of courageous people from Canada, so it was very nice. I'm not sure if you heard me say that, but it was very nice.
I don't know why they would even want to pull the stunt of having him lay up there on top of a shelf to get it all the way the way he's doing.
We heard that, and we do love our Jeremy Hansen. We love all our Canadian astronauts, Jenny Gibbons, Josh Kutrick. They're just great people. And
Did you see? There's just little tells like his hand.
We heard that,
but it was very nice.
Watch his hand when he moves his hand back down. His hand even bounces. Watch.
Yes, Mr. President, we heard that, and we do love our Jeremy Hansen. We love all our Canadian astronauts, Jenny Gibbons, Josh Kutrick. They're just great people, and they're such a welcome addition to our Corps.
They've all got their fingers interlocked.
Great. Well, I really look forward to, when we can, I look forward to seeing you
What
in
does
the
that
Oval
mean?
Office. I'll ask Jerry
Is it a
to bring you
Masonic
over.
thing
I'll
you
ask
do in the
your
lodge,
autograph.
or is it a symbol for them
Really ask for
as a
autographs
signal
much, but
to
you
not
deserve
move
that. You really are
or pull any
something.
tricks
Everybody's
besides the
talking
microphone
about
that's
this, and,
continually floating?
I look forward to having you in the Oval Office at the White House, and we will celebrate your incredible.
I think he just forgot the count again. Let's see. When he said, "I look forward to seeing you in the Oval Office," he did the thumbs up. See?
We will celebrate your incredible achievements and triumphs. This is big. This is really big stuff. The whole world is talking.
Yeah, see, he didn't do it again,
and
so that was what he did it for. Watch.
I look forward to having you in the Oval Office at the White House, and we will celebrate your incredible achievements and triumphs. This is big. This is really big stuff. The whole world is talking about it, and if you have the time, I will certainly find the time. I've been pretty busy also, as you know, but I will absolutely find the time, and we'll get together, and I'm going to be giving you a big salute on behalf of the American people and beyond that.
Can you believe it? No. I don't.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. And when you want us, we will be there. And thank you for your leadership. Thank you to Jared for his leadership. Really, thank you for taking the time out today to visit NASA. It's really special for us, but it's really special for the team on the ground. A whole team of people all around the world pulled this off, and we just want to say thank you to all of you for this. It is the thrill and honor of a lifetime to have been on this journey. Today was amazing, but this 3-year journey has been amazing, and it was made possible by the American people and the Canadian people, and we're so grateful to you all. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And Jared, congratulations. We'll see you soon. And I know that you have Mars very much in your mind, so we'll start thinking
4.
about that pretty soon, I think.
Boom.
And
Wave.
thank you. Congratulations to everybody.
Oh, he didn't
I'll see
wave.
you at the Oval Office.
When he said, "Thank you, Jeremy," he's talking about.
But this 3-year journey has been amazing in people, and we're so grateful to you.
Congratulations. We'll see you soon. And I know that you have Mars very much in your mind, so we'll start thinking about that pretty soon, I think. And thank you. Congratulations to everybody. I'll see you at the Oval Office.
Thank you for your time, Mr. President. It's been an honor.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Let's see.
Integrity.
Okay.
This is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
That was the event. Now they go around and they
Thank you
prep
to all
for the next
participants.
one.
Integrity, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
All right. So we're looking at reverse imaging because the spelling is backwards in the control room. You know, my father worked at Mission Control from about 1980 until about 2006. 26 or 27 years he was there. Working in the Mission Control building. Mission Control, over systems. He was over hardware systems, like all of the equipment that you see in the room.
Integrity Houston, great job on the event. Just a heads up, we are on track to start the next event on time at 4:15.
This is a visualization, okay? Remember, this is not real. It shows them in the cabin with little lights on. How cute. There's humans in there and they have their little lights on. Okay, now what are they going to do? Let me skip ahead.
About 10 currently on from both Earth and the Moon. The Orion spacecraft and its crew, that crew including Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, are currently about 250,000 miles away from the Earth, and that distance is starting to
250,000.
become smaller as they are now on the return leg of their journey. And they are about 9,300 miles away from the Moon. They made their close approach to the Moon.
Integrity Houston with a question about fans.
So I wanted to just say, they're already on their return. They've gone around the far side and they're coming back. It's an elliptical track. Just like the 0G plane, when it goes up and down and you have the apex. When the rocket goes up around the moon, it hits an apex and turns and comes. That's the apex of the ellipse. Like the corner of your mouth. And they've already passed that. Now they're starting to come back down. So they're approaching the moon again, but they're going past it on the other side. In their imaginations.
And speed.
All right. So. Come on.
Go ahead.
They have the altitude
We were wondering
here.
if this adjusted fan speed is something that you would like to keep going forward, or if it was just a specific change request for the events this evening.
They keep bringing up the fan speed on the air conditioning.
For PAO events, this is an ideal fan speed. If you're willing to give us this fan speed for routine habitability, I think we would take it and try it for a while.
It's really interesting when it's all a drama, like a theater play, how they have to just inject dialogue into the play about a fan speed for the climatization of the cabin. Interesting, but funny. So, tragedy. Ooh, I'm going to write that down. Putting that in my joke book. You know, Mark Normand always says comedy. I'm going to say, I do stand up. I'm in Austin. I'm going to say tragedy.
And Reed, we are able to support keeping the fan speed in this config. Happy to keep it here to collect data.
4 happy astronauts up here. We'll take it. Obviously, when we go to exercise, we'll need to bump it up, but I think for quiescent living, this will be great.
We copy, and we love seeing those smiles.
Wow, that's a good one. Tragedy. Just like throwing it out there. Whenever something's done poorly, it's a tragedy. Okay, here's where they start prepping things. They're moving things around. They're putting things in bags that are really important. They're getting. I wonder if NASA actually keeps them inside the capsule. I would do that if I was the director, because you wouldn't want them to come out off the set, land, and go into a building and maybe pick up something or fall and tear their pants or stain something or get abducted or have something happen to them, or it's too risky. You would probably have to have them actually stay inside of the set the entire time and not let them leave to ensure continuity. They can't drive off to, have lunch at the plaza down the road where I used to live, near the Johnson Space Center Federal Credit Union. I used to live, if you followed me when I was doing videos 7 years ago, I lived on Saturn Lane, and the entrance to NASA is on Saturn Lane. And it was just half a mile down the road. I could see the space shuttle on top of the 747 at Space Center Houston from my patio. My mother's patio. She went into a nursing home, and I got to stay in her condo for a while. And I would visit her all the time when I went to Houston. And I was in between career jobs, and I stopped looking for a job, and I just lived in her condo because she needed help a lot, and I helped my sister till she passed in 2021, and then I moved here to Austin. I've been doing a little bit of stand-up and trading cryptocurrency. What does he have on his lap? What's he putting in there? Anyway, so let's wait till we're at 23. Let me skip ahead to 27. Minute number 27 had so many tells in it. It's incredible, guys. Okay, let me tell you. Let me pause this. Put the camera on me. Now let me look at my notes. I'm going to tell you. Okay, in minute 27, here's what I've got in the notes, all right? Jeremy, the Canadian that's laying on top of those oxygen suits, his feet, I'm going to tell you what they are ahead of time so you can watch them when we watch minute 27. His feet slip off of that ledge, and you see his knees, like here are his legs, and they slip off and they sag down, and then he picks his legs back up, and he spreads his thighs a little bit. And then eventually his knee goes down. It's just the way he's moving his legs and his feet slipping off. And it's just a tell if you just watch him. The thing to do is just look at them with your eyes on panoramic view without focusing on anything specific and just see if something catches your eyes. I do that, and that's how I caught them all. So his feet slip off, and he picks them up again and resituates himself with his knees apart. Then he caterpillars down about, from 19 to 34. So about 15 seconds later, Jeremy, he scoots himself by moving his hips, and then he does it again. And when he does it, you can see his whole body. He's got all of his weight on his left rib cage and his elbows deep inside of those jackets, those oxygen jackets that are inside of that netting. And so he's moving. I call it he's caterpillaring, and you're going to watch his hips move twice. We're going to see that. His whole body's lying down like on a couch of the survival system suits, but his head is still cocked upward. Then in 27:35 seconds, his body bounces on the suit gear. At 27:21 before that, on Victor, the pilot, his watch drops and hangs on his wrist. And also, you know when Houston talks and you hear that background, that whirring noise in the background that they throw in, sounds like Outer Limits. Remember the show Outer Limits? It sounds like the Outer Limits noise. And you hear someone go 3. So I automatically in my head started counting down. I go 2, 1, boom, and I pointed at the screen. And he started floating the microphone. So I'm kind of picking up on their coding. So just someone in the background in Houston on a different line is talking, so that when the woman is talking about the program and saying when the next interview is coming up for the next news channel, someone in the background goes 3. So I automatically said 2, 1, and I looked at the screen and the read, let's go of the mic and let's start floating. So I didn't even know what was going to happen. When I heard 3, I counted down and I waited to see what happened, and he released the microphone. It was so gratifying. I'm like, wow. Now I already showed you in the very beginning where they synchronized those black timer watches on their wrists. It's like synchronized swimming. They have to have the exact time to know I think that's for the airplane to know when the airplane, 0G plane that there's this sitcom set is in, when it's approaching the apex, and they'll be slightly weightless, and then it gets more and more gradually weightless until full weightlessness, and they're falling. And then when they get to the bottom of that sine wave, they start to pull out and level off, and they start to get smushed back into the floor or whatever they're lying on. Okay. Now, she hits the white tube and it bounces. I showed you that. He's making himself come. So I showed you the other stuff. The only thing we've got left to see is some of this in minute 27. Now, let's watch the infamous minute 27. Let me skip to it. This is minute 25. Let's just watch from here. See if you catch anything. If you're in the comments, say something if you see something that bounces or looks off, like it doesn't belong. Watch right here. Okay, it's always hard when you see these chords. They have to get these chords that have really stiff preset rigidity so that they look like they're floating when they have high tensile strength and they don't move. That's that tube that she hit. No, where's that tube that she hit? Oh, it's up here, this tube. If you notice anything, let me know in the comments. But it's interesting to just watch them move around and see if you can spot anything that they made a mistake on. Wait a minute, what'd that paper do behind his head? Did that paper just fall down, or was that ventilation? Let's see. Sometimes people say, well, that was the ventilation. Okay, where it says 250. When does that paper get up there? It's already up. Okay, watch. Watch this paper behind Jeremy. When he bends over, it falls down. I don't know what's holding it up. Maybe he hit it with the back of his shirt when he got in that position. Then when he bends over here, it goes back down. But can you imagine? They're just looking busy. Now, see, the plane started floating again. Now, they just approached the apex, and now they're weightless. Okay, so they weren't. If you notice here, everybody's down. He's sitting on the counter there. And he's like on his knees looking over this thing. And then they gradually start floating again around 26 minutes. Oh, here he goes. Got to move. Now they're weightless. Now everybody moves. He starts moving. He starts floating up. So now they're falling inside the airplane now. Got to hold that microphone. Here comes minute 27. Now watch. Jeremy's going to get himself in position, laying down on this thing like it's a couch. I don't know what this thing is right here, but it looks like some kind of device to hold his head up so he doesn't have to strain his neck so hard. Fighting gravity. Oh, wait, let's watch the cord. Oh, did you see that? The cord in Victor's right hand. Is that showing gravity? It says they have rigid, stiff cords and ribbons. So you can't tell. I'd have to look at that over and over until I caught. Now watch when he gets up here. Now watch. His feet are going to slip off. And gravity goes bonk. Right there. He just picked him back up. Did you see that? Watch. He goes in, puts his feet up, and then they slip off. Slip. And then he just got back up. Now, he's got his head, it looks like, in that thing that's holding his head up. Now they're starting to put their hands together. Now watch, when he rubs his right eye, his watch will slip down. Watch. Boom. Did you see that? Boom. Let me do it again. Boom. Did you watch his watch jump? That's gravity. Bonk. Let's watch it real slow. Let's go back to that quarter speed and watch Victor's watch. Okay, let's go back. He rubs his right eye and then bonk. Did you see that? He actually flicked his wrist. That's kind of a habit when people wear watches. You know, whenever you, have you ever had a watch and whenever your arm is down and it slips down and when you pick up, you go, it's kind of like second nature. You don't even notice. You just pick it up and you go like that. And it just kind of gets your watch to go back down on your forearm. Instead, if it's on top of your hand and you can't move your hand, you just kind of go. And it slips down like that. Watch him do that when he rubs his right eye. Okay, there you go. He flicked. It's hard to notice. You have to look at it again. Right there. But right before he grabs his nose, he's doing a little bit of a wrist twist. Watch his watch fall down. There. It kind of bounces. Do you see that? It actually has a quick movement. It just goes. Shoo. See that? I want to show you here. Okay. Right here, I want you to notice the side of this watch is embedded in the middle of the top of his hand right here. Oops, I'm missing the microphone. The side of his watch is embedded, pushing on his hand. It's indenting the top of his hand right there. Now watch. And just fractions of a frame later, it's down on his wrist. Watch. Okay, now look, it's nowhere. It was up here, and now his watch is down here. Ha! That's another fantastic tell that we caught. It's fun. I could do this all day. I want to go back and go through every interview with every major news stream. This was ABC's. This is actually 13 Wham ABC. Where is 13 WHAM? Let's look on DuckDuckGo. 13 WHAM. Rochester, New York. Okay, we're looking at the news from Rochester, New York. This is the news channel ABC in Rochester, New York, that has a channel on YouTube. That shout out to them because I'm sharing their video. I don't have ads. I'm not making any money on it. Now watch right here. I'm going to show you again. Watch Victor's hand. Now, look, I caught it in mid-fall right there. It was up here indenting his hand, and now it's already slipping. See how it's even blurred in this frame? When I stopped it, it's in a blur because it's falling real fast with gravity. And then, boom, it's in place. How did I even catch that? I don't know. I've just been doing it for a while. Okay, right there. See, it's up against the butt of his hand right there. And the top of his hand right here. The side of the circle of the watch is touching the top of the middle of his hand. So it's pretty far down his arm on top of his hand. And I don't know if you can see it, but he turns his wrist and gives it that flick, which makes it fall. Right there. And there it goes down. That's amazing, folks. See, it even fell some more. It slipped down, and then it even slipped down some more. Down. Down again. There. See, it just caught it good there. Boom. 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 What do you think about that, folks? You can go through all of the interviews with all of the TV stations that they had to do, all of the events, as they call them, and you can have as much fun as I did. Send me the videos that you found or some of the ideas that you found. Put a comment on this video and even include the link. I'll accept links. You can spam my comment section with links to other videos. If you find something and you want me to look at that one. He's still able to spin this mic around. Oh, let's wait until the moment where he counts and then releases the microphone. Where are we at? 27, 23. Let's keep watching. Let's see. He already let it go. Let's watch. Okay, he was waiting. This isn't that scene. Never mind, because she's not in it. Hold on. Watch when he does the caterpillar effect. When was that? Let's see. Caterpillars. It's at 27:34. I think we just missed it. Hold on. Look, okay, 27:30. Oh, it's coming up. Now, you're going to watch when he shifts down this way, you're going to watch his belt. See his belt? He's going to go bonk, bonk, right here. He's doing it. Okay, he's going to squirm. Okay, watch. He squirms. There he goes. Boom. See, he made one movement. Now he's going to do it again. There. Now he did it again. He just moved like... Now, see how that pile of oxygen jackets is smushing underneath the weight of him? if you've got a laptop or a phone, and turn off your auto rotate and turn this up sideways perpendicular and look at him. Because he should look like he's just floating there, standing up in one position. But he's not. He's smushed against this pile of jackets, the oxygen emergency suits. His elbow is deep into that. He's got all of his weight of his thorax on his ribs right here. And he's caterpillaring his hip. He kind of squirms twice and goes down. And you see they're not in any part of the weightless zero-G moment because it looks heavy. And see, when he's kind of looking at his feet, his head straightens up a little bit. Let's go back. Let's see, 30. Let's go right here. Let's go back to normal speed. And let me show you at normal speed what it looks like. Okay. Go. Do you see him bounce? He bounced. Bounce. Right there. He bounced. Did you see that? It's like with his body strength, with his body strength, he's actually, like with his elbow, he's picking his weight up and moving, and then picking his weight up and moving again, and then it bounces twice. On the second move, he bounces twice or more. Let's watch it again. Right there, it was bouncing. Okay, here we go. First, right there. That whole pile with the whole net, that whole material net that's holding all this stuff is moving all over the place and bouncing. He's laying on it like a couch. Look at that. It's so obvious. It's funny. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. He's just laying there on a bag, and he's laying on his side. These two guys are right side up, and this poor guy lay there. He's still got his head cocked up, which is the body's natural tendency to keep blood out of the head from over too much blood. Okay, watch. Boom. Bounce. Did you see it bounce? Play it again. Boom. Bouncing. Right there, bouncing. Right before they cut back to the Capcom room, he's literally, that whole pile is bouncing with his weight on it. Do you see it? The whole net moves. Right there. That whole net's going back and forth and squishing this way and that way. That's amazing that they can do that, where people can watch this and they think they're in space. Let's watch again. One, two, bounce. This time, let's watch these straps in this netting. See these straps that are holding the, what do you call it, material mesh, the material net that he's pulling up on. Watch right here how this whole mesh, these straps kind of move around while he's squishing them. Do you see the whole bag jerk back and forth? Well, that may occur if he was in weightless, but it's smushing down in our frame. Right there. Boy, from his belly to his ribs to his hips, his whole body smacks that pile and it bounces him. That was 27 minutes and 35 seconds. If you're looking at the counter. Oh, wait, hold on. You're looking at me. I'm sorry. Let's go back. I'm sorry. I do that sometimes. Let's 27 minutes and 30. Okay, watch him when he bounces. We're going to watch the whole netting right here. The jackets and everything squishes and bounces, and you can tell because these straps that are in the sewn in together. See how they're moving and bouncing? They're bouncing and shifting side to side with all of his weight on them. It's so obvious. It's like, if you just forget that we're watching astronauts that are supposed to be inside of a capsule that are floating beyond the moon in deep space on the far side of the moon, you're just looking at two guys playing in a fort that they built in a tree house, and this guy's laying on a sleeping bag that's on top of 15 other sleeping bags, and he's moving, and the whole thing's bouncing. And it's just, your eyes aren't tricking you. Bounce. Wow. That is just amazing. I didn't look very much after that.
This is Mission Control Houston. Please call Integrity for a voice check.
Integrity, Jared Isaacman, ComCheck.
This guy runs all of NASA. Jared Isaacman.
Administrator Isaacman, we've got you loud and clear up here.
I've got you loud and clear.
If you look back historically, most leaders of NASA, they're either Jewish or Jesuit. That goes with all departments of government. CIA is mostly government, I think. Everyone. Are there exceptions? Let's see. Kennedy was Catholic, but he was a York Rite Mason. But anyway, you have to be of, I believe it's called the Order of St. Timothy. Working, I don't know if you have to be or not, but I know personally a man who was director in the 90s. He might have passed by now. I met him at a wine bar in Seabrook. Seabrook, you know the flag that Buzz Aldrin left on the moon? Remember when Buzz Aldrin left a Masonic flag on the moon he brought with him? That it was like, it wasn't an apron, but it was a flag. But it was the flag of the Lodge of Seabrook. Seabrook is at the waterfront down at the water on Nassau Bay, right by Johnson Space Center. There's Seabrook. It's just a little town made of a few neighborhoods by the water's edge. If you blink, you'll miss it. I think there's one major traffic light. And it's a really tiny township. And that's where Buzz Aldrin lives. And when he took that flag to the moon, it was the Seabrook flag. So I was in Seabrook one night, and then I went to a wine bar. I was on the hunt. I'm single. I was on the hunt, and I thought, where can I meet women? I thought, I don't like wine, but women do. So why not go to a wine bar? So I found this wine bar in Seabrook, and I walked in and I started chatting with this man, and his name was George Abbey. And this is an interesting story. George Abbey was the director of the Johnson Space Center in the 90s, I think from like 92 until 97. But I talked to him, and he was sitting over at this picnic table where people go and I think they play bridge or some card game. And he was sitting there. I think his friends had left, but he was a little bit sauced because there was a wine bottle in front of him, and he was drunk. And I was talking to him, and I grew up there. So I was talking to him. I said, and I wanted to show him, I grew up with a NASA administrator that went to my church. I was Mormon. You know, Mormons are in this too. You got Jesuits, Mormons, or Jews. So, and this guy, Gary Coltis, Coultas, his wife was my mother's best friend. And they always ran around and did stuff together. And I was always over at the Coltis' house. I used to spend the night over there. I even remember asking Gary, he was sitting in his recliner one night, and I went over to him in the living room, and I said, how do rockets fly in space, Brother Cultus, if there's no atmosphere? Like, how do they fly if there's nothing out there? And he said, there's just a little bit of atmosphere. I think I may have been 7 years old. 8. I don't even think I was 8 years old yet. It's funny now. Actually, I sent him in the 90s after I got my MBA. I worked for a vaccine lab, a level 4 lab that was also doing some Defense Department research projects for DARPA. And we made a waterless shampoo. It was a gel, and you put it in your hair, and it would wash your hair, and then it would turn into dust. It would absorb all the grease and dirt and oils from your hair and turn into just like rubber, like eraser dust. Like when you erase your on a piece of paper and then you brush off the eraser dust. And then it would just turn into eraser dust, and you would just brush it off and keep moving. So the soldiers could wash their hair without needing water. And I sent those samples to Gary Cultus in Houston to the Johnson Space Center to test it for the rocket missions, for the space shuttle and everything, because if you don't need shampoo to wash your hair, that would be fantastic. But he never tried it out. I grew up with this guy. I grew best friends with his son. His son was my best church buddy. And I told my boss at the lab, Collins, who's John Todd's younger brother, I told my boss that I know a NASA administrator. I can get him to test our waterless shampoo and see if we can get it in some NASA program. And they were like, cool. So I sent it out there, and I didn't get anything back. And then I called him about 2 months later, and I said, hi, Gary. Hi. And I said, did you get a chance to look at the shampoo packets I sent you? Did you get them? He goes, yes. He goes, I believe they're behind my door here in my office. And I said, have you talked about them or shown them to anybody or discussed anything? And he said, no, not really. No. And he just shut up. He wouldn't say anything. I never heard back from him. After that conversation, I just let go. And then the president of my company, this guy, his name was John Gallo. I'm sure he's passed now, because I was 27 when I was a director over Latin America and the Caribbean, and he was my age. He was probably in his late 50s, maybe 50-something. And Gallo was Sicilian. We had Dick Cheney on the board, and we had Henry Mulcahy, 2 guys from the White House. And my boss was John Todd's younger brother. And the CEO, his last name was Hager. And his grandson is married to Jenna Bush. So if you get an idea for who I was working for, and they were doing projects for DARPA, and I was the director over Latin America. So I was in it, but I didn't have any idea. That's what freaks me out, because I didn't know in fact, Collins told me one day, he said, I said, why is Dick Cheney on the board of our company? We're such a little lab. We were doing less than $30 million a year. But we were a research lab. You wouldn't expect us to be a big commercial thing. And I said, it was right after Desert Storm. And I said, when he left being defense secretary, and I asked my boss, Collins, I said, why would he come to our little company? What interest does he have in vaccines? And without a blink or even answer my questions, Collins just looked at me and he said, you don't know who you're working for, do you? With a stern look. And I said, I said, I guess I don't. And that ended that. We were walking between buildings from one lab to another. We were walking from the boardroom building over to the lab. And I just said, I guess I don't. I had no clue. I was so innocent. I was working in this lab that had a Bloodline Collins elite, Dick Cheney, run by, when we moved there to the town in Jersey where this lab was, the president, Gallo, was a Freemason. And we lived right across the street from the Masonic Lodge. And I used to be able to watch out my living room window and watch Gallo coming in and out every time. When they would have meetings, you would see the cars line up around the block. And I would see Gallo's car there all the time. Big, giant Mercedes 600, And so you could just list off all of the tells that were, what was this lab and who was running it. I already told you who these people were. One interesting thing about the CEO was he called a meeting for the directors of each division to go to. So my boss went, and the guy who ran one of the pharmaceutical divisions, and then I was in his office one day a month later, and he goes, dude, it was so cool going out to Hager's house in New Hampshire, and he's got a hunting farm. He's got we took us to his study, and he's got books everywhere. He says, just like the movies. And then in one corner he had these screens, and he has this thermal imaging radar on 2 mountains. And he says that when they go hunting, he has a rack full of rifles. And he says, when we go hunting, I have friends over and we go hunting, but we know where the animals are before we leave this room because we look and see them on the thermal imaging, and we know exactly where they're at. And I said to the director, I said, that doesn't sound very sporting. Why would you want to do that? Where's the fun of the hunt if you already know where the animals are before you go out to shoot them? And today, with the knowledge that we have, I think you know what I'm talking about. So I actually worked under, and that guy liked me. He bought me a set of golf clubs. I sold a ton of Merrick vaccine. If you've ever heard Alex Jones rant, when he's not talking about COVID, he talks about Merrick, the chicken vaccine, Mareek. I was the top Merrick salesman in the world at one time. So it's like, if you want to say, hey, who are you? What do you know? This is why, as I've woken up, I actually saw flat Earth in 1985 in an out-of-body experience that I had. And I remember I flew through the planets, and I went up through the waters and the stars, and I got to the firmament, and I looked down through the floor, and there was this world, and it went to the horizon in all directions, but it was under our feet. Didn't rise up to eye level. It stayed under the floor. And I thought, what world is this? This must be some enormous creation of God's. I don't know where I'm at. And, wow. And now it wasn't until I always suspected the earth was flat. I remember holding the magazine, like the American Way magazine. I would hold it up on the window of the airplanes to the horizon and try to see if the horizon was drooping or if it was flat or if it was just an optical illusion. And I would make sure that the window wasn't convex to make it look that way. And most planes have flat windows now, so they're not convex. But I took flying lessons 2 years later after that out-of-body experience in Texas near Clear Lake. And I asked the pilot one day, my instructor, I said, how do you fly level? How do you fly level? Like, without looking at the 6-pack of gauges and the artificial horizon that blue and brown one, keep the blue side up. I said, without looking at the gauges, if you're just looking out the window and you're talking to your friends, and then how do you know by instinctually that you're just flying level and that you're not diving or climbing? And he said, just put the point of the nose on the horizon in front of you, and you will fly straight. And your altimeter, you won't go up or down. You'll just go straight level. And I looked at him and I said, how does that work? And he smiled, and, I'm looking out, and I'm like, how would that work? You point, because I'm thinking we're on a ball, you have to count it. The further out you look, it should drop off at some point, especially if you're at a higher elevation, you're going to see the curvature of the earth. And he laughed, and he goes, it just does. He knew immediately what I was talking about. I go, how does that work? When he said, to flight level, you put your point of the prop, the tip of the prop right on the horizon. And I'll never forget that. That was one of the tells in my life that the earth might be flat. So I kept looking into it. And there were several things that I found. Can't remember them all right now, but when I got on YouTube and it started coming out around 2015, there was mention of it. I didn't really look into it until I saw the videos floating around in 2015. I kind of ignored them, from Eric Dubay. And then in 2016, I started watching them. The reason why I'm talking about flat earth now is because we just watched a bunch of clues and notes about how Artemis 2 crew is faking being in space. Why? Because the earth is flat. It's flat, folks. You can't argue, but why would they fake it? The reason why, it's in my notes of this video. The people ask, well, why would they fake it? There are two reasons. One is it creates jobs. They even say that. We've created so many space industries in all these countries. It promotes technologies. It promotes technologies that go into the aviation industry. It makes a ton of jobs. So it's great that way. And it gives patriotism to the masses. It's great. Like Goebbels would be proud in Nazi Germany. And you have the other, and the main reason why is Lucifer. Everybody knows Lucifer. Some people even say like Lucifer is the god of this world. So Lucifer was left in charge here, and we know it, and we come down here and we try to do the best we can, suffer through it, and then return to God. And you go straight up to see God. If you don't know where God is, I've been out of body, and I do have a death experience. I drowned for almost 2 hours underwater in 2012 in a hot shower. I had hot water with 2 hot water heaters. I had a friend of mine who's a veterinarian. He said the only reason you're still alive is because you had those 2 hot water heaters going back and forth. And I believe him. But I can tell you, what was I going to prove? I can't even remember now. Anyway, the earth is, where God is, it's straight up. It's straight up. You go up, and you know how space and time kind of fold together. Like if you're thinking, it goes Moon, Mercury, Mars, Sun, Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus. That's the order of the planets. There are 7 planets, including the moon. And it's never been, before like 9 or 10 planets, and get rid of Pluto and all that. That was garbage. There are 7 planets. If you go look back in the ancient Persian astronomy, not astrology, they have the same models. You can look up the ancient flat earth astronomy from the astronomers in ancient times. We're talking from like 4000 BC. They had the model today, which is actually true. You've got the Earth, Moon, Mercury, Venus. I'm sorry, is it Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars? Wait a minute. Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Sun. The asteroid belt is between Mars and I skipped Saturn. So that's right. The moon is not included as a planet. But the order is different than the way they tell you. I know it's Moon, Mercury. Yeah, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun. Asteroid belt. Moon, Mercury, Venus, asteroid belt. Moon, Mercury, Mars, asteroid belt. I left out Venus. I forget the order. Then you have the sun, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune. I remember when I flew through Jupiter, the planets were different sizes, but what I was going to tell you is with the spatial relationship when you're out of body in a different dimension, things aren't three-dimensional, so the planets just line up in front of you when you think about them, and they present through the energy that you're making with your toroidal energy whirlpool that you're making with so much energy, and you're going, you just spin those planets right into line in front of you, and you go through each one, and you go all the way up, and then there's a break for a while, and then everything in the blackness of space starts getting really bright, and then you're approaching the stars that are in the waters above, and then suddenly, boom, you go right into the waters above, and everything's bright, 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 but you're going straight ahead, and you're still accelerating, just like Han Solo, and it goes faster and faster and faster, and then suddenly, and it stops, and you're just floating above a misty floor. Some people call it paradise. You'll see it in drawing. Those drawings in the United Nations building really piqued my mind, because the experience that I had in 1985, my heart started beating when I saw the drawings in the United Nations. That they were going around on the internet like 3 years ago. Has anybody seen those? Where it shows the rings of each planet around Earth, and then it shows the waters above and the stars, and then it shows the firmament, and it has an Amanita muscaria mushroom, and it says paradise. That's where I went, but I didn't see any mushrooms. But I did see light beings there. That was God, and I saw the Lord. But that's where their throne is. I don't believe they live there, actually. I think that's like where they work. You know, it'd be like the equivalent of going to your job and having a desk somewhere that's not your home. Because I can't believe if God is this infinite light being that's got all these powers, knowledge, and wisdom, and can create worlds, that he would just be sitting on a throne on these steps. I think there were 3 steps. And that he would be just sitting on the steps of the throne and just sit there and do nothing. But the way it's timeless, I think he's there for us whenever we need him. And he was there for the creation when the Lord was doing it. And there are paintings where you can see the God sitting on the throne and the Lord's on his right side. And there are 3 steps. And I saw that in 1985 before the painting came out. And I've got it written down on, handwritten on a letter. That night when I got home, I wrote it all down. We were at a family's house teaching. My body just charged up, just vibrationally, just suddenly I started buzzing. And I couldn't hold it back anymore. And I thought, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? It just, the power took me over. I thought if I moved a muscle, I would just explode and knock the house over. And then I heard this sound like, it was like a bubble sound, you know, and I was floating like 30 feet above the house in the dark in the neighborhood, and in Cordoba, and I could see everything. And I met so many Nazis down there in Cordoba. Oh my God, in the early 80s, Nazis galore, SS everywhere in Carlos Paz. And Hitler stayed there in a town called La Falda before he went down to Bariloche and back and forth, probably to New Schwabenland. I can't believe that Hitler was in Argentina and he never went to New Schwabenland. I mean, come on. You know where they had the flying saucers, where Admiral Byrd got in a fight with the flying saucers when they tried to invade and take over New Schwabenland? What a mistake. You know, I think they have an advanced they have a breakaway civilization there with advanced technology. And it's being that the world is flat, you can't go beyond the 60th parallel, which is the largest ring around the North Pole. And if you sail out past the 60th parallel, toward the ice walls. There are 3 breaks on the map. If you look at a Gleason's map, Gleason, or an AE map, you're going to see that there are 3 breaks in the ice walls around Earth, the 7 continents that we know. And you can sail ships through those. And when you get out the other side, you're going to find other continents with green grass and trees and people. And there are different races we don't know. There are animals we don't know. And other people living in these worlds that are outside of we live in the center, closest to the North Pole. And then all of these other worlds are like halo ring worlds that are outside of us. But for them, their land goes all the way around in a ring around ours. And then a ring goes around theirs. And then a ring goes around theirs. And I'm guessing that there are at least 7 rings because there are 7 planets. And so it's like an onion where each planet would have its vibrational frequency and its place on Earth within a ring of property where it habitates on the plane. So you say, like, where do aliens come from? Well, they probably come from the outer rings. You know, I saw it when I saw it from under the firmament. You know, under my feet, the floor was transparent, and I saw hundreds of continents. I don't know if I saw 100 continents, but I did not recognize the Americas. Like usually when I look at a globe, I first try to, recognize the Americas. I didn't see that America telltale shape, and I didn't see Europe and Africa. I didn't recognize anything. And then, but there were other continents. There were, like 5 or 7 over here, and then another 10 or 11 over here, and then, on each corner, let's say around me in quadrants. And all together, 7 and another 47. Maybe there were 65 continents that I saw. Let's say 50, between 50 and 60. But it goes all the way to the horizon underneath the feet. Not up to eye level. When we're on Earth, we look at the horizon, it always rises up to eye level. When you're looking at Earth from the firmament, it stays under the floor. It does not rise up to eye level. Eye level. When I was there, you have paintings with angels everywhere blowing trumpets, and there's people all over around God and everything. When I was there, it was dark, but the light came from those 2 and just beamed out, just so bright. And I think if you were in your body, you would not be able to look at God or the Lord. I know that. And I've heard people say that, and it's written in books, I think, but there are paintings that look like what I saw and where I visited that are in other people's writings and other paintings that I've seen. So I know other people have been there. And so that's why I'm telling you, the Earth is an infinite plane, and we're just in the center of it. So why do all the countries on our Earth, that fake space, that fake being on a spacecraft, that fake a space program, like the European Space Agency, the Canadians, even Iran has a space agency, Japan, China went to the moon. Yeah, right. So if America is going to fake it, then China is going to fake it. Have you ever seen China's videos from their moon missions? They're cartoons. They're so ridiculous looking. I think China, the people in China, think about it. If you were born in China in the last, the country's so old, thousands of years old. If you were born in China and you were raised up with that strict control, you have no rights, and it's communism and a very tough government that, if you do anything wrong, you could be killed. You can only have 2 children. They slaughter the girls. It's just a bad, you would not want to live in China, grow up there. But they, lost my train of thought for a second. You wouldn't recognize that your country's space program and the videos that they're showing of outer space and being on the moon look like cartoons. And they're ridiculous looking. You're so used to just going, oh, yes, we believe, go to school, come on, go to work. Yes, don't stick up. You know, it's like the Japanese say, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. Don't stick up. Just kind of blend in. And that's the way you have to be in a communist country. So that's the reason why I think the Chinese people believe their space program. It is, to an American, to me, it's called the Rabbit. I forget the name in Chinese of their space program, but it's called the Rabbit, which is a reference to a fertility god or goddess. But it's silly. But why do they all fake it? Because they don't want you to know that you're on an infinite plane and God is just straight above you when you die. I hope when I die, I'm worthy enough to go back where I went in 1985. And I haven't messed it up. You know, as an adult, I was innocent. I was 19 years old. Although I wasn't real innocent at that time, even though I was trying to do better. But, so that's the video, folks. That's why they fake it. So I've shown you that they're faking it. And then I've wrapped it up by telling you why. Because it creates jobs. And Lucifer said so. Because I can tell you from my death experience when I drowned, when you leave your body, you think exactly like you do now. I mean, your mind and your consciousness just leave your body and you continue and you think and reason and everything in your head. If you have, you have a Taurus energy field. And I believe that I remained in my human form while I was going back to the moon for reincarnation, but I rejected it, and then they said I didn't belong, and they sent me back. But you don't want to stick up like the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. But when you die, you want to know that you're going to say, okay, I have to go through the planets now. It's time to return to God. And it's straight up, and then I'm going to go through the waters above and through the stars, and then I'm going to meet God again, where I came from. But if you don't know that, and you believe that you're on a globe floating in a spinning solar system, in a spinning Oort cloud, in all these combinations of speeds, you know, the Earth's spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator around a sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and then the sun's spinning around in a universe in coordination with these other planets, and then the whole Oort cloud is moving. There's, you get sick. But how is it, you know, that you can have, some people have stone, remember the Georgia Guidestones? It had a hole that showed the Polaris. I think it was the North Star Polaris. Which, have you ever seen the slow motion patterns of the stars overnight when they circle around? Or, you know, where they take a picture like every 5 seconds? You know, and then you put that into film and you roll it, and it makes these lines that circle the North Star. All of the stars circle the North Star, and that pinpoint doesn't move. And that's aligned with those shafts in the Great Pyramid in Egypt. How can all that work still if we're doing all those motions I just talked about? You know, the Earth is spinning around the sun, that's spinning around this, that's spinning around that, that's spinning around that, like that. And yet none of the constellations, we've still got the same zodiac with the same symbols that make the same figures. And any hole that you cut in stone to see the North Star or the Pole Star still work. Why doesn't that hit in people's heads? Like, it's impossible to have both together. They mutually exclude each other. They're exogenous to each other. How's that for a word? Exogenous. All right. So I've been on here for a little bit of time. So I hope you enjoyed the video talking about these things. Let's close with a prayer. Heavenly Father, please bless us to ponder and consider the things that we've talked about this evening and how to get to Thee and how to rejoin Thy presence. And bless those people that make it to the end of this video, that they might find thee and be able to know how to return to thee. For we know when we die, our energy and our minds and our spirits and our knowledge and wisdom go with us, so that we will already know the way back and we don't fall for the universe theory and the spinning solar system theory. The sun is the fourth planet. We know that, Heavenly Father. It gives life and it's very powerful. The moon gives off its own energy and light. So many things tell of the glory and the wonder of thy work under the firmament. And yet, scientists remain atheistic in their scientific beliefs, which are received on faith like a religion and easily debunked. If we just put our minds to it, use some real science and math, we can change everything that is said by these governments that control our minds, and we hope that would help us. And these things we pray. Amen. Thank you. All right. See you next time. Most likely tomorrow night. All right. Bye-bye. Bye.